2023. Case Episode 9. I covered a case on Asha Degree who went missing in Shelby, North Carolina on the cold early morning of Monday, February 14, 2000, Valentine's Day. Well, there has been an update. It has been 25 years since Asha has been last seen. To give some backstory, 9-year-old Asha Degree was last seen by her father after a late-night check-in on both siblings, Asha and O'Bryant. Asha's father, Harold, saw both children were sound asleep in the bedroom that they shared. On the evening before, Sunday, February 13th, there was a bad storm with freezing temperatures, which may have contributed to a nearby car accident that hit a power pole and knocked the power out. It was a Monday, so in just a few hours, they would be up and getting ready for school. However, Asha's mom went to wake the children to start getting ready for school at around 6:30 a.m., and she noticed that Asha wasn't in her bed. O'Bryant later reported hearing some noise from his sister, but by then Asha was already gone. She was nowhere in sight. Asha was spotted a little over a mile away from her home by two key eyewitnesses. Some of her personal belongings were seemingly dropped or placed in a nearby storage shed, and there were several other odd instances that were released over a decade later relevant to her disappearance that leaves us with still over 20 years of unanswered questions and a convoluted case that is almost similar to a game of cat and mouse. It seems as if Asha left her home on her own and ventured into the cold and wet darkness of Shelby at an odd hour on that Valentine's Day morning. But why? Who was she going to meet? Where was she going? Who eventually met up with her? And where is she today? In Case Episode 9 on The Missing Found, I presented a total of 7 theories on the possibilities of what could have happened to Asha, with one being a part of our new case update. Before we get into the update, I recommend that you watch my original case episode to familiarize yourself with the details in my full, in-depth analysis on the case. We will recap the original details, discuss the new update, analyze the details comparing them to previous details from 2000 to today in 2025, and then break down every case element, including review some text messages, several text messages, because though this case has updates, there are still things we need answers for. This is the Missing Found podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Harlow. Before we get into the case, I have a few details to share about the show. The Missing Found is an investigative true crime podcast focusing mainly on unsolved missing person cases in the Black community. The cases that I cover have either gone cold, have little to no media coverage, or have gone without conclusion. You can follow the show on Instagram at The Missing Found or on Medium at The Missing Found to read our original script. I also would like to mention that we have a case suggestion form in the show notes or description box that you can complete to submit your case suggestions that are of the Black and missing. I'm happy to announce that we have a YouTube membership that's now available for you to become a member in the evidence room to gain early releases, priority replies from me, and much more that's exclusive for members only. The show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For Apple Podcasts, we ask that you give us a 5-star rating to help the show reach a broader audience to help find our missing. To access all things of The Missing Found, you can visit our website, themissingfound.com. I ask that you please like, share, comment your thoughts on this case, and subscribe if you found value and want to continue the journey with me to finding our missing and learning about their stories. This is Case Episode 31, an update on the disappearance of Asha Degree. So, the recap. As we know, Asha was said to have left her home on her own and walked out into the dark, stormy, wet weather. Initially, we didn't know why she left her home in the first place and still don't, but it has been stated in the new developments that she came in contact with someone. There possibly was an accident, a hit and run, which was a theory I considered in my original case analysis in Case Episode 9. This new development offers some validity to the witness accounts from the 2 truckers that I mentioned in that same analysis. Asha was sighted by 2 truckers that early morning, and she seemingly ran off into the darkness. This could have been due to her being afraid, just like any child who may encounter someone in a large truck that pulls up next to them. We also had learned that there was an early 1970s dark green Lincoln Mark IV, or possibly a Ford Thunderbird, that Asha was seen getting into. And I will elaborate on this shortly because this phrase, quote, getting into, may be misinformation where the phrase may have found itself changed throughout the many articles on Asha and this one detail. The vehicle in question, according to Cleveland County Sheriff Alan Norman, he said that the vehicle was occupied 2 times, which is terminology for the amount of individuals that are in the vehicle. The aforementioned is interesting to note and will add context to our new development. What if I told you that Asha may have been involved in a hit and run accident involving members of the Dedmon family, and it has been alleged? The Dedmon family. Now, you're wondering, who was the Dedmon family and how did we get here? The Dedmon family consists of Roy Lee and Connie Dedmon and their 3 daughters, Lizzie Grace Dedmon Foster, who lives in Texas and is the oldest, middle daughter, Sarah Gwen Dedmon Capel, who lives in Shelby, and the youngest daughter, Anna Lee Victoria Dedmon Ramirez, who lives in Charlotte. There were new search warrants released on Tuesday, February 18th, that revealed new key details in the 25-year-old case. The details included text messages between members of the Dedmon family that involved a seemingly eerie confession that took place at a party 20 years ago. That confession involved killing 9-year-old Asha Degree. As stated, there were a series of text messages that occurred between the family. I'm going to read some of the text messages that were exchanged between the family as reported by the Star. So, the text messages. Following a phone call from Anna Lee Dedmon Ramirez, Anna Lee texts Lizzie according to search warrants. Anna Lee, I am so sorry. I just said all that. I am just in complete shock. Lizzie, it's okay. I'm leaving school. Sarah to Lizzie, they think it's our shirt. It's not her shirt. Her mom said it wasn't hers. Sarah went on to say she didn't remember the shirt, but that she was scared. Dad is probably going to be a huge suspect, Sarah said. This is a nightmare. I'm like shaking and can't walk now either. Kelly Foster, Lizzie's ex-husband, sent her a message. It stated, I'm so sorry you and your family are going through this right now, especially Anna and your mom. Just horrible. Anna Lee, Lizzie, you don't need to be talking to anyone. I'm at the lawyer's office. Anna Lee to Lizzie, now, they advise we should all not talk to them without representation. Lizzie to Kelly Foster, this is going to get nothing but worse. I'm talking to my doctor at 5 to get something for my nerves. Lizzie to Kelly Foster, I'm just so worried. So worried. Lizzie to Kelly Foster, I mean, it's a nightmare that's going to keep getting worse. I can see nothing good happening anytime soon. And I'm an optimist. Kelly Foster to Lizzie, oh no, I hate it for y'all. Lizzie to Kelly Foster, there is no way this is going to be okay. Lizzie to Sarah, I just talked to David Teddy, the family's attorney. The theory is I did it. Accident. Covered it up. Sarah to Lizzie, no, why would it be you? Lizzie to Sarah, that's what he said. Lizzie to Kelly Foster, I feel so horrible. So horrible. I don't know what to do. I caused this. Kelly Foster to Lizzie, no, you didn't. So the next thing you want to know is, how did we get here? The tip. According to the new search warrants, Thad Valentine came to the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office on September 18, 2024, and mentioned that he had heard one of the Dedmon daughters, Lizzie and Sarah Dedmon, confess to killing Asha Degree. Valentine went on to share that he would occasionally go to house parties and bars with the Dedmon girls around the mid-2000s while he was in his 20s. The statement in the warrant said, quote, Mr. Valentine recalled a time where he was at a house party with Lizzie and Sarah Dedmon when he observed Lizzie sobbing and bawling while being extremely intoxicated. Mr. Valentine further stated that Lizzie made several statements admitting to killing Asha Degree. Specifically, Mr. Valentine stated that Lizzie said, quote, I killed Asha Degree, end quote, One significant element that Mr. Valentine also recalled was how, upon hearing this statement by Lizzie, her sister Sarah came up and became stern and angry and told Lizzie to shut the fuck up while she grabbed her head. End quote. According to the warrant, Valentine claimed that he was caught off guard by Sarah because it seemed out of character for her. He later took and passed a polygraph test, and that supported his statements. Once investigators received the iCloud search warrant results, they did find text messages that were of interest. Lizzie refused contact. On September 28, 2024, Lieutenant Daniel Howell with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office had approached Lizzie in Texas, but she refused to speak with him. A day after that contact, Lizzie sent a series of text messages to Sarah. They had a detailed text message exchange as follows. Lizzie to Sarah. I'm just so anxious about, what's going on behind the scenes? What are they doing now? What's going to happen to me since I wouldn't talk to them? I'm afraid it's going to get worse. Well, he told me it's going to. Sarah to Lizzie. I know, girl. I am a disaster. I think if they come at you again, you just go and be compliant. That's what I'm planning on doing. Lizzie to Sarah. I think so too. Honestly, I want to do what Dad says, but damn. Sarah to Lizzie. Maybe we should have let you do what you originally wanted to do. Lizzie to Sarah. I don't know. I really don't know. Sarah to Lizzie. Right. You don't want something we do or say impact him, but we also can't be living like this either. Sarah to Lizzie. I told him I'm not going to do that. Lizzie to Sarah. Right. Oh, you did? What did he say? Sarah to Lizzie. It's not worth our mental health. Lizzie to Sarah. Right. Sarah to Lizzie. He was just I will call Teddy. We can go get a polygraph with the honest people. Lizzie to Sarah. Oh, okay. Sarah to Lizzie. I really just don't have it in me to go through with what we've been through. Lizzie to Sarah. It's been hell. Sarah to Lizzie. Just hearing about your situation has made me a disaster. Hearing about it. Lizzie to Sarah. Oh, I'm sorry. Sarah to Lizzie. I just can't even imagine going through that. Lizzie to Sarah. But y'all have dealt with other stuff that I haven't. Lieutenant Howell asked her if she would take a polygraph. After making a call to her ex-husband, Kelly Foster, she said no. He then went to Foster's home to speak with him, but no one ever answered the door. Lizzie was approached again on February 10, 2025 about taking a polygraph test, and this time she agreed. There was one important question that was asked, and Lizzie was asked whether she was concealing any information regarding the case. Her response, according to the polygraph test, found her to be deceptive. Roy Dedman, the father of the girls, his phone was seized and searched. According to the Star, during their interview, Lizzie had made a statement about Roy Dedman. Quote, if my dad did it, he did it, but I had nothing to do with it. End quote. She said, according to the details in the warrant. That is an interesting mention, if I might say myself. The green car. I want to make some correlations from everything we know about the case from the original reporting to what we know now. The green car is a large part of this case. As we know, an eyewitness reported seeing Asha get into a car on that dark, stormy morning. Well, there was some confusion with that statement. When you think of someone getting into a car versus being put in a car, you can see how both are vastly different and have two separate meanings. To quote, get into a car, you would simply walk into the car yourself. However, when you're put into a car, you consciously or subconsciously are unaware that you're getting into the vehicle. One may not even know they're even getting into the car. Well, there's that correction. The eyewitness actually reported that they saw Asha get pulled or put into a car. When I think of that, it sounds like an accident, whereas Asha could have been struck by a vehicle, and to dispose of the body, they loaded or put her into the vehicle to conceal an accident, a possible fatality. I say possible because we don't know if Asha was actually deceased at the scene or could have been saved. That's just something we may never know because she did not even get a chance. Of course, this is if this information is found to be true. The green car was in question for years after this tip was given in 2016, the tip relating to the green car. Sarah was interviewed at her home in Shelby on September 10, 2024. According to the details in the search warrant, Sarah Dedman Capel had told investigators that Roy Dedman, her father, gave her a green AMC Rambler in 1999. The vehicle that was gifted to Sarah by her father, Roy, matches the description of a car that the eyewitness said they saw Asha get pulled into. The vehicle was found because there was a search warrant on the Dedman property where Roy and Connie Dedman resided. While on the search, the green vehicle was located. At the time Asha disappeared, Anna Lee was 13, her sister Lizzie was 16, and Sarah was 15. This gives insight on the ages of the girls if they were in the vehicle and or behind the wheel. From the text messages, it seems as if there is a high probability that they were behind the wheel of the AMC Rambler that early morning on February 14, 2000. The missing book bag in the perfect location. I had discussed in great detail in case episode 9 about the book bag. After Asha went missing, law enforcement had asked Asha's parents if they noticed anything was missing from her bedroom. Now, a few things were missing, with Asha's favorite pair of jeans, a red vest, black shoes, her Tweety Bird purse, a pair of overalls, and her book bag that she would take to school. The missing book bag was found on August 2, 2001 in a wooded area north on Highway 18. The book bag was discovered by Terry Fleming, a Burke County contractor who was excavating the area for new construction. A family was building a home with a driveway, so the area had to be cleared in order to start development. While clearing the area of trees, his track hoe pulled up a black bag. He recounts always seeing objects being pulled up, but this felt different to him. He maneuvered his machine to get a better angle of the object and saw that it was something wrapped in a black trash bag. Twice. It was double wrapped. He opened the bag and saw a black and beige book bag. He opened the book bag and looked at the contents and thought it was quite strange. Terry felt something wasn't right about the bag. He saw that it had some writing in the interior. It was a name and number. The name read, Asha Degree. It was written in the bag, whereas if the bag were lost, it had the contact details of the owner. He wrote the information down and took the note home. Though all of the items that were in the bag were not released publicly, we do have a few items that were. Starting with clothing. Favorite jeans with red stripe. Long sleeve white nylon shirt. Black overalls with Tweety Bird. Red vest with black trim. Black and white long sleeve shirt. Basketball uniform. And other items. A lime green Tweety Bird purse. Black shoes. House key. Asha's wallet, and 3 family photos. There were some items in the bag that belonged to Asha, and there were some that did not. The Dedmans owned and operated multiple nursing facilities. There were 2 samples that were sent in, with one sample having genealogical data showing that it belonged to Mr. Russell Bradley Underhill, who occupied at least 2 of the Dedmans' nursing facilities, and one belonging to Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez, who was 13 at the time. Mr. Underhill passed away in 2004 at his residence. I'm not sure if Mr. Underhill had any involvement because he was a patient, but because he is tied to the Dedmans, they had access to him since he occupied their facilities. We just don't have full clarification on this and if he could have somehow been involved. The samples that were sent in from Asha's undershirt and were proven to contain data relating to the patient and one of the Dedman daughters. This could have been trace evidence or an actual item. Interestingly enough, the Dedmans and the Degrees families have no ties to each other, and though not impossible, it is unlikely for there to be anything of theirs on Asha's items. My opinion. The thing with this case is that Asha was never supposed to be found. No one was supposed to care. She would just be another black girl missing in North Carolina. Thankfully, this case was newsworthy enough where there was some concern. Even still, 25 years later, even with the new details, the warrants, the interviews, the samples, the vehicle, the text messages, and the persons of interest, and an entire family, I still wonder and have this burning question. as you may too. Why? Why was Asha outside in the wee hours of the morning? This is not typical. We have to remember that Asha was 9. Think back to when you were 9. Would you leave your home as a 9-year-old and into the darkness and uncertainty to just walk with your items packed? This is very strange, and though we may be getting closer to what happened to Asha and who's all involved, but that one burning question, it's like we won't find the answer. See, Asha being hit was supposed to be a family secret. The text messages prove there is some involvement or at least some information on what exactly happened that fateful morning. Though the Dedmans are not yet deemed as suspects, but persons of interest, this family orchestrated this murder, if that is what this is, in the most sophisticated way by not only tampering with the corpse, but planting her belongings in a completely opposite direction in which Asha was last seen. This case is a tragedy because a little girl is gone by what could have been a homicide turned hit and run. The search warrants reveal that investigators do believe Asha Degree was a, quote, victim of homicide and that her body was concealed. That burning question still remains. What happened that night and why was Asha out walking? And where was she headed? There is still a possibility that someone or something was on the other side of Asha's early morning walk. We just don't know. I hate to consider conspiracies, but who got Asha out of bed that morning, into the darkness, and what did they need from her? Especially since knowing they own multiple nursing facilities, healthcare. Think about what I just said. It's just another layer to add to this unfortunate mystery. Like I always say, I'm just here to tell a story. In the case of Asha Degree, I'm still keeping watch. There is hope because a cold case is finally turning warm. That's what we hope for. As we wait for the new developments to see what becomes of this 25-year mystery and its connections to the Dedman family, this case will remain open, unsolved, and not so cold. At the time of Asha's disappearance, she was 9 years old, African American, stood at 4'6", female, weighed 60 pounds, brown eyes and black hair. Asha was last seen wearing white sneakers, a white nightshirt, white jeans, and may have been carrying a purse and or a book bag, a black book bag. If you have any information or leads in the disappearance or abduction of Asha Degree, her current whereabouts, or any information concerning Asha, it should be directed to the FBI Charlotte at 704-672-6100. You can also contact the Cleveland County Sheriff's Department at 704-484-4888. Also, lastly, you can contact your local FBI office. The FBI is offering a reward up to $25,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Asha Degree's disappearance. As always, please be safe, be vigilant, and always be aware of your surroundings. May God bless and keep you all. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Romans chapter 8, verse 18.